And I call the member for Braddon.
Thanks, Deputy Speaker. And thank you to the member for Lalor for putting this motion forward. It provides me with the opportunity to advise the House why I think the member's sentiments are misplaced at best. And again, it boils down to the Albanese government's failing to listen to the needs of rural Australia, listening to the bush, Deputy Speaker. This is another classic example of Canberra trying to ram city bureaucracy down the throats of hard-working rural businesses and their workers. It's little wonder that small businesses right across the northwest, the west coast and King Island are frightened. It's little wonder that our advanced manufacturers are frightened. It's little wonder that our building sector, our transport sector, our ag sector, our fishing sector are worried about the impacts of Labor's IR agenda and the ongoing viability of their businesses. These businesses are the lifeblood of our region, and this is something that Labor struggles to understand. In rural Australia, a lot of the time, it's just one or two of these businesses that form the very backbone of an entire community. Government must continue to support these businesses, to keep them viable, not to tie them up and reduce their productivity with more red tape. If Labor had bothered to ask anyone in the bush about managing workforce challenges, then they would have known that flexibility is key. Everybody clocks on at 9 and knocks off at 5. Across the northwest, the west coast and King Island, we can't afford to have a clock-on, clock-off mentality. We'd go broke. In our region, we've got a do-the-job mentality, a complete the job and get it done mentality. I could spend the next 3 minutes listing the names of business owners that have never clocked off in their working lives, Deputy Speaker. I recently went along to a regional meeting of our Master Builders Association in Devonport. It's a great meeting, room full of builders. And if they tell me that they've got a problem, Deputy Speaker, then I listen. And the problem, Deputy Speaker, is Labor's proposed IR reforms. In the electorate of Braddon, there's just over 1,000 small-sized building and construction businesses. Between them, they employ around 4,000 tradies. That's about 9% of the population. Now, for the benefit of those opposite, I feel obliged to explain how the building and construction industry actually works. Deputy Speaker, we have a building sector that is a very complex, very finely tuned, well-balanced and highly efficient system of business owners, apprentices, independent contractors and subbies. That's right, Deputy Speaker, subcontractors. Yet Labor believes this successful time-proven model needs changing from one that is flexible, independent and responsive to one that is rigid, beholden to union movements and bound by red tape. At this meeting, I was told that Labor's proposed IR reforms are one of the worst possible things that could ever happen to the building and construction industry in the state of Tasmania. Independent contractors and subbies could find themselves subject to changes which would ultimately force them to relinquish their autonomy and become employees. This would mean them losing their freedom to choose their working hours, their project, their clients and their ability to negotiate their own fees and conditions. One subcontractor said that he hopes, and this is, I quote him, that he hopes that the people responsible for bringing this new legislation will be held 100% accountable when the construction industry is totally destroyed. Deputy Speaker, it's never a good time for governments to make it harder for business owners. It's never a good time for governments to make it harder for workers or job seekers to find flexible employment that suits their specific needs and their own requirements. And yet that is exactly what the Albanese government is proposing. Well, I'm proposing more utes and less suits, Deputy Speaker.